Welcome one, welcome all. Thanks for joining us. This is the Worldwide Drum and Bass Show. I'm your host, Garry G. Today we've got the guest in the studio today, as you can probably tell on the sofa, none other than the one like Damageman. We're going to be doing an interview, as you could probably guess. That's why we sat on the sofa. And then after the interview, Damageman's going to step up behind the decks and give us a little taster of what it's all about.
Excellent.
Is that cool with you?
That sounds good to me, mate.
Right, nice one, man. Let's crack on. So, Damageman, let me start with, where did you first get into like the drum and was it drum and bass, or was you sort of into garage or pop, or what was your first sort of musical influence?
Bit of everything really, but I sort of got into drum and bass when I was about 11, 12 years old. So my mum and dad's friend Michael, who's unfortunately been dead for a few years, he was heavily into jungle and drum and bass, and he's the one that got me into mixing. And there was a local rave that Gav used to run called Dance High, which me and my pals used to go to when I was like 12, 13 years old in Felixstowe. So yeah, that's how it all started really, getting into the music.
So that's where you first met Gav, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
It's not the first time you've been in this studio, is it?
No, I've been up here a few times.
First time you sat on this sofa, though.
First time on the sofa, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wicked, man. And so that was how you got into it. Then essentially, you inherited a lot of. Well, I'm assuming it's all vinyl then as well.
Yeah. So my first set of decks I got were a set of Cam Red Dwarfs belt drives.
Yeah.
When I was 12, going on 13, it was just before my 13th birthday. And like I say, I was going to Gav's raves, Dance High, getting all into the jungle and drum and bass. And my mum and dad's friend Michael, he lent me a load of vinyl to get me going. And that's how it all started for me, man. Set of Cam Red Dwarf belt drive turntables. Yeah,
I was the same with the belt drives, mate. They were an experience, weren't they, belt drives?
Yeah. They were hard to mix on, weren't they?
Constantly winding it up and slowing it down, and never get it right really. But so obviously that was, you said 12 or 13 then, when you first got into it. And then when did you kind of make the jump and upgrade and think, oh, do you know what? I really like this. I'm going to get a set of Technics. I'm assuming that's where you went next with it.
Well, I had the Cam Red Dwarfs probably for about a year or two, and then I actually got a set of Gemini XL500 direct drives after that.
Okay.
And then I had them probably for about a year, and luckily a mate of mine from school, I think it was his sister's boyfriend's friend or something, was selling a set of battered 1210s.
Yeah. That's Mark IIs. That's where everyone starts, mate.
Do you know what? I've still got them to this very day, and I've had them serviced, and they are tight, mate. They still mix perfectly, and I've had them since about the age of 15, 16.
You can't go wrong with a set of Technics, though.
Nah.
Somebody used to. I'm sure there was. I don't know whether it's a myth or true. I never tried it out myself, but somebody said you used to be able to stand on the platter of a 1210 and it would be fine. You know, and you think to yourself, maybe when I was in my younger days, certainly not now, though.
No, I've never tried it, but I had heard the rumour.
So that was sort of your. When did you sort of start get your first gig, sort of playing out then?
Yeah, so like I say, I was going to Gab's Dance Highs, and that's what really like grabbed me, and I was just like, I want to be doing this.
You got hooked there.
Yeah, because the raves he was putting on they were top notch back in the day, man. Everyone in Felixstowe, that was the under 18s night. Do you know what I mean?
Built the scene, really.
Yeah. They were brilliant nights, and like I say, that got me into it. And I was like, watching all the local DJs on his stage, I was like, that's what I want to be doing, man. And I started going to a few other local events, and I got my first proper booking. I'd only been DJing about 6 months. So I was 13 when I got my first booking.
Geez.
Yeah, 13 I was.
Was that at an under 18s?
An under 18s night. So that was for my mate Garry, so big up Garry. He's given me my first ever booking. And then he started doing over 18 nights in Ipswich. They were called, it's funny actually, because my DJ name's Damageman, but his actual night was called Damage. So I started playing at his nights. I used to have to help take the speakers and everything in and set up, so I was in the venue for when it started, because obviously I was only 15, 16 at the time. It was an over 18s event, And the first one I ever played at had Nicky Black Market
Wow.
on the bill, man. So the first over 18s gig was with Nicky. So
Oh, excellent.
yeah, man. So that was good. And yeah, and it just took off from there, mate. And I haven't stopped since. So yeah, mate, love it.
So that was your first proper booking.
Yeah.
Like you said, to be on the same lineup as Nicky Black Market as well, mate. That must have been something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Certainly, I know that I'd have been blown away if that was me. You know, big up Nicky every time.
Yeah, he was one of my favourite DJs. He still is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, well, likewise. To be
Yeah.
fair, actually, he's, you know, I've never met him, but I've conversed with him, and he's, from what I gather, he's a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
Nicky Five Jobs, I think they call him, because he's always
Got
got
five bookings.
something. Yeah, he's always got something on the go.
In the night, yeah.
So obviously that was where you started off, and then when did you get into the producing side of things then?
Well, the producing was a lot later. So I started DJing 99, 2000, and I didn't start producing till about 2011, or dabbling in it, giving it a go. So yeah, 2011, 2012. So I've been DJing for 10, 11 years really before I even, you know, got my first program and had a go at producing really.
We was talking earlier. You saying your first one was Reason, wasn't it?
Yeah, Reason 3, I think it was.
And then obviously you've upgraded now, and you've gone on to the big boy program of Studio One, isn't it?
Yeah, Persona Studio One.
And that's quite a jump. That's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I started on Reason 2.5 back in the day. Some kind of stopped everything, to be fair, with, you know, when my son was born in 2004, and then sort of picked it up again a little bit later on. But so we've kind of covered where you started in it. Started your DJing, started your production. When did you start up your label, and why did you start it up?
So I
should mention it's the label Sub Heavy Audio. If you don't know, get to know. Google.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sub Heavy Audio.
Just want to get that in there.
Yeah, Sub Heavy Audio. So I started that in 2000 and what we now 2021 2009 2018 2019
Okay.
2019 I think it was.
What was it inspired you to start your own label?
Well, I'd already had a few releases out on various other labels, and I just thought to myself, I could probably do this. So I just looked into it. Well, it's funny actually, because me and my mate John, we run our own event called Banger After Banger, and I did actually set up a record label called Banger After Banger Records. So we had a few releases on that, but I wanted to do something.
Was that you and John?
Well, yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, I was running all of the label side of stuff, where he was, I suppose, concentrating more. Well, we both got concentrating on the event, but I must admit, he is more the event man, I suppose. As in, I'm quite happy for him to like book the headline. Like, we'll obviously discuss who we're booking or whatever, but he's sort of like the proper driver. We are a partnership, but he's probably more of the driving force behind it, I suppose.
Like
'cause
sort of front man.
yeah, because I mean, I'm quite busy, tied up with my producing and obviously with family and all stuff like that as well. But yeah, so we started Banger After Banger Records. So I took that sort of side of things, and done 5 or 6 releases on that, and then just sort of like didn't really release anything on it for a while.
Was it all your own productions on there, or was it?
We had
different?
We had a couple of other up and coming artists on there at the time, but I did release on there myself. But then I didn't really release on it for a while. I was busy trying to get releases on various other labels, and then a few years later down the line, I was like, I want to start a label again, but I want to do something that's a bit not away from the event, but just something that's. I suppose the stuff that was on the Banger After Banger at the time was more jump uppy, and it was everything was jump up on there.
Yeah.
I suppose. Whereas with Sub Heavy Audio, I wanted a mixture of everything,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to start afresh, something new. So yeah, just took it from there.
And
Really.
that's your own.
Just me. Yeah.
Okay, so you were saying about you've had releases on other labels and that.
Yeah.
The ones that I know of, we got Grid, which is obviously Twisted's labels. That's massive. We got Natty Dubs,
Yeah.
which is Cabin Fever, Murky Digital, is it?
Yeah, yeah,
And 10 Ton Beats.
yeah.
And I'm sure there's some others that you could probably drop in if you wanted to. And then what we was just talking about before we sort of come on air was the plays you've had on BBC Radio 1, BBC Music Introducing,
Yeah.
Kiss FM. Mate, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, isn't it? For anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get much bigger than Radio 1
Yeah.
and Kiss. That's
Yeah, getting a track or two played on obviously BBC Radio 1 and Kiss FM. Yeah, it's a good look, I think. Most definitely. DJ Hype played a few tracks back in the day when he was on Kiss. Molly Collins has played a track or two more recently on her show. Like I say, Rennie's played a track before on his Radio 1 show. And the BBC Music Introducing in Suffolk, big shout out to Angel, because they've pushed me quite a lot. They've played loads of my tunes on there. I've had a big guest mix and an interview on there with them as well.
Yeah.
So that was really good exposure. You can say that you've had BBC radio play,
Yeah.
whether it be Introducing or the main Radio 1 or
Yeah.
even the local one, the Suffolk, I think that's a good look. So any producers, up and coming producers out there, I'd definitely recommend sending your tracks to your local BBC Music Introducing.
I was going to say, is that exactly
Yeah.
how you did it? You literally just sent it over to them,
Yeah,
and then they obviously decide then and there whether they want to play it.
yeah. Or with the Music Introducing, literally just go to the BBC uploader and just send your track over to, obviously we're in Suffolk. I'm from Suffolk, so I obviously sent it to the Suffolk
Yeah.
Introducing. If you're from Norfolk, Essex, wherever, send it to your local BBC Introducing, and you might get a bit of airplay, and that's good exposure, isn't it?
Well, I think that's an awesome piece of advice for any up-and-coming producer, really.
Yeah.
That's something I'm certainly, because I'm an up-and-coming producer as well, it's early days for me. I don't think I've got anything worth sending to BBC Music yet, but we'll get there.
I've got to big up my mate Reckless, Project Nando, because he's the one that got on to me about that, because he's from Colchester in Essex.
Yeah.
And he's had a few tracks played on his local Essex one, and he said to me, he's like, Tom, you ought to get on that, mate. You ought to send some of your tunes over to your Introducing, and that's what I did. And yeah, they've played loads of my tunes. I think they've probably played about 8 or 9 tracks on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
mate.
and then like I say, then went through to I've done a 15-minute guest mix of all my own tunes.
Yeah.
And then I had like a proper interview with them, like, live on air and that as well. So
Was you surrounded by a waterfall, jungle, and a sofa, and a good-looking host?
no, unfortunately not. No,
Laughing at.
because it was in COVID times and that, it was over the phone, and I didn't even get to go to their studio, but it was still brilliant.
Regardless, it's still epic, isn't it?
Yeah. So big up to them.
You know that, yeah. So that's what you need to be doing. You need to be getting, like you said, it's not just about sending it out to the labels and what have you. It's pushing it out to the BBC local radio, like you said, Essex, Kent, wherever it is wherever it is you're from.
Yeah.
So you've played some big gigs as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
You was talking earlier. You said dance. Was it Dance Concepts?
I played at so some of the bigger raves I played at Random Concept.
Random, yeah, my mistake. Sorry.
Yeah, Breaking Science. Where else? Next Hype. Big shout out to X-Man. He used to get us down to his mic quite a lot. So big shout out to him. Warning in Cambridge. Played there quite a lot. Most of them are sort of like in the room twos or whatever. But that's still it's still really, really good to get out and about and play in these big raves.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Be nice to get on the main stage one day though, obviously.
Do you know what, mate? We can only keep pushing.
That's it, mate.
That's all we can keep doing.
Yeah.
But I know I've seen a couple of your sets. You know what I mean? And I know, and I've also been told by many people that your skills on the decks are something to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's going to be too long before you will be in that main room. I really don't.
That'd be nice.
And hopefully I won't be too far behind you.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
So obviously, this is obviously what you do music-wise. What's a day in the life of Tom? Because I know you've recently got had twins.
Yeah.
That must be hard work.
It is really hard. Yeah, I've got 3 kids. So recently Oh, I've got a 3-year-old boy, and I've got 2 identical twin girls who just turned 1.
Yeah.
Obviously married to my wife. Obviously full-time job, mortgage, everything. So obviously real life, and then trying to juggle it with a music life as well. It's hard work, but my missus is really good. I've got a big shout out to her because she lets me get in the studio most nights once the kids are asleep. So yeah, she probably likes the peace and quiet and likes me getting away from her, probably, to be honest.
That's it. No, like you said, having that sort of trying to balance your family, your everyday job that's paying the bills, and your music is a difficult juggling.
It is hard,
without a shadow of a doubt.
But I do feel grateful, obviously, to have a full-time job and everything like that, especially recently. I know we're hopefully coming out of COVID and that now, but I do feel for the artists, the full-time proper artists, and the promoters who do it for a living, because it must have been hard for them, not having any gigs, or if that's your source of income, must have been really hard. So
I mean, there's the nightclubs as well. Which the people, some of them are rented, some of them are owned, and unless they've got money coming in, they can't continue to, because they've still got bills to pay regardless, haven't they? Whether it's rent, mortgage, or whatever. So I think everyone's suffered in this. But one thing this whole COVID thing has done is kind of leveled things out. I think, anyways, it's kind of leveled things out. Everyone's on a kind of level playing field now, and so much talent has come through the scene through this lockdown. Whether that's because people have had time to reflect, to do whatever. I don't know what it is. I mean, what's your take on that?
I think some of the DJs that are coming through, I think what's been good, one thing that's probably benefited is that some of the DJs that have been on the live streams, there's been some really, really good up and coming talent coming through, I think, and to see them now getting bookings, I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I think it's good for the scene. Loads of people wanting to be DJs now. It can only be a good thing for the scene, I think, really. The more people that are into the music and want to do it, that's good.
Certainly. I think everyone kind of wants to be a DJ. It seems it's so much more accessible now than it was when you were starting out, or certainly when I was starting out as well. It was an expensive do back then.
When I was 13, 14, I used to do free paper rounds to be able to go up to Red Eye Records in Ipswich, big shout out to them, and spend, I used to do Monday to Friday, early mornings before school. I used to do one on a Saturday and Sunday, and I used to do the advertiser paper, which is the one that we used to bring in the most money. That was on a Thursday night. Depends how many leaflets you used to have to put in there.
Oh, right.
One of them ones. Oh, it was a killer, man. But sometimes I'd earn like 30, 40 quid a week from delivering papers at that age.
Mate,
and all used to go on vinyl.
Like you said, for 13 years old, delivering papers, that's a good. I remember one of my first jobs, I think I was paid 50 quid a week. You know what I mean? And we're not talking that long ago, really. You know what I mean? But I was having to work 40 odd hours for that. For 50 quid. You think you work it out, how much it is an hour? It's ridiculous. Well, it'd be classed as slave labour these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mad.
But so obviously, like we said, we've spoken about the how you got into it. We've spoken about the music, the label. What forthcoming releases have we got? Because I know you've recently sent me over some bits.
Yeah.
What we looking out for on Sub Heavy?
So we've just had a release done by Neil Bad Boy, which is two quite liquidy sort of rollery tunes.
Yeah.
They're called Closer and Heartbeat, and the Heartbeat track actually has actually got a sample of his, I think it was his granddaughter's heartbeat when his daughter had a scan.
Oh wow!
So he actually sampled the sound of the. When he told me that, I was like, "Oh, that tune's awesome, man! I've got to take that one off."
See, that's sold.
Yeah,
we're having that one.
I love that. I loved it. And we've got an EP coming out from Joe, a chap called Joe. He's quite a local producer actually. He's from Thetford, and he makes bangers, absolute bangers, man. He's recently had releases on. I think he recently had a release on Ray Keith's Dread label.
Yeah.
So Yeah, we've got an EP coming out with him, and that's in September. And then we've got a couple of other things lined up as well. I'm just trying to finalise the other few bits at the moment. So
certain things you can't talk about.
Yeah, but there'll be a couple more releases before the end of the year. So
that's good, bro.
So that's cool.
So where do you see the label going forward?
It's been steady since it started. It's been steady. Just keep releasing on it, really. You know, if anyone wants to send me any demos or anything like that, they can send it. They can contact the Sub Heavy Audio page. I'll always have a listen to people's material. Just keep releasing, really, and just giving people a platform to release their music. And I'll obviously release on there as well. We've got Conrad Subs. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Conrad Subs released a few tunes on there. Big up to Ad. Who else have we had on there? I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
So I put you on the spot a bit there, haven't I?
Flat T.
Yeah. I think he's had stuff on
Bio Beats.
Pablo's label, Pablo G's label, Camo and Liquid Tribe.
He might have done, yeah.
I might have that wrong, actually. To be fair.
He's from Norfolk. He's had releases on like Bio Beats, Fat Man D's label.
Yeah.
What else is he? He's had he makes really good tune. He's recently done a remix of a Dominator tune.
Okay.
Him and another chap called Telecom. So there's a Flat T and a Telecom remix.
Right. Yeah. R.I.P. Dominator.
Yeah. R.I.P. It's sound chat. Dom was. So they had a remix there, and makes good tunes. So he's had a EP on the label as well. So there's been a couple of decent artists who've had put out tracks on Sub Heavy. So. Good. So
obviously you come into it when it was jungle. What if you had to choose? What would it be, jungle or drum and bass?
That's hard. It's funny because I got into it from such a young age. I've ridden it the whole way through. That makes sense. So you never sort of diverted off and go, do you know what? I'm going to go to garage now, or well, I do really like garage actually, and like bassline garage, and I've actually released a few bassline tunes as well actually. On my own, I started my own Drop Heavy Audio, which actually the T-shirt.
I was going to get onto that and ask you about that.
Yeah. So that's the bassline sister label to Sub Heavy Audio.
Okay.
So, but I've only released like a couple of tracks out on it really. Yeah. But like I say, I had a release that got to number 2 in the UK garage chart on Juno.
Okay.
So basically, I just wanted to give bassline and garage a go. I just thought I'd make a few tracks and just put them out and see how they do, and they've done really well, which is good. But drum and bass will always be number 1. But coming back to your question, garage, jungle, drum and bass, because I've gone through the transition with it.
Yeah.
I've transitioned as the music's transit. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly. So your heart's with the jungle. Am I right, or? Because that's where the roots are.
I just like it all.
Oh come on, man! You can't sit on the fence on this one.
If I'm totally honest, I reckon my favourite era, let's say, it's probably early 2000s, because that's when I was 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
Buying all the vinyl, going to all the gigs I could, playing at all the gigs I could. Obviously, I've been DJing the whole time up to now. I'm 35 now, but that's when I was most excited for it, I think, when I was 16, 17, 18. So that era, when Ed Rush and Optical were really big on Virus, V-Record.
Signo,
all that sort of stuff. All of them, mate. That's sort of my favourite sort of era, I suppose.
I would say, I'd have to agree with you there, to be fair. That was a good era. That was when I was heavily into it. Yeah. That's probably when it was more or less the same time. I must have been a late starter to you, because I'm slightly older than you. I won't say I'm much older than you, I'm slightly older. But yeah, that sort of, I would say 97 to, well, like I said, I kind of, I wouldn't say I fell out of it. I kind of stepped away from DJing and raving and everything else about 2005. So 97 to 2005 for me was like a kind of a golden era. It's where all my memories are
Yeah.
from, and that's where, you know, if you ever hear me playing any of the sets, there's stuff that, without a shadow of a doubt, there'll be a tune in there from that era somewhere, probably more than one tune as well. I think I did a set up here a little while back, and I played, it was just purely 90s drum and bass, you know, so nothing beyond 2000. And some of the tunes, a lot of digital stuff in there, Spirit, just some real classic tunes that I think a lot of, and the timeless ones as well. So a lot of up and coming DJs now, they don't, like the youngsters, they don't know these tunes. They've never heard these tunes, you know what I mean? And not really many people are playing them anymore. And I think it's important to try and get them tunes, not necessarily get them tunes back, but get them, trying to educate the youngsters in it as to, do you know what, this is what it used to sound like.
Yeah.
And this is what it still could sound like, you know what I mean? Not saying copy that track that they've made and make it yours, but it's just trying to open up a new world to them, you know? I know there's some young DJs, I'm not going to mention any names, I've spoken to them, and it's, they didn't know who Ronnie Size was.
Oh, that's mad. One of the biggest, that's what you're saying, like Full Cycle.
Of course, man.
Back in the day, mate. One of my favourite labels.
And Ronnie as a DJ, as a person, man. Do you know what I mean? He's one of the biggest. He's won Mercury Prize, Mercury Awards, and all of that. They've done Glastonbury. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, how do you not know these people? This is where your roots are from. I mean, there's stuff that I listen to, you know, not just drum and bass and jungle, sort of reggae, sort of pop music, whatever. And it's from before I was born, but I still listen to it because, you know what, I like to kind of try and educate myself on it. And I think it's really important that the youth, the younger generation, do the same thing. I mean, what do you think? You know?
No, I think maybe. I mean, a lot of the younger kids now are getting into like producing and stuff like that, and I think the way how everything's produced and made now is a lot different. I mean, tunes back then, like we're talking about, they were like 6, 7, 8 minutes long, the tunes, weren't they? Like now, some tunes are like 3 minutes long, 3-4 minutes long, aren't they, for example?
Inner City Life, by Goldie, that's about 20 minutes. Do you know, I was playing a show last week, or this week just gone actually, Wednesday, and I think the DJ before me, he played Inner City Life. And I said to him, I swear you only played that because you want to go off and make yourself a bacon roll and a cup of tea. Come on, man, that's 20 minutes long, you know what I mean? But like you said, tunes now that are coming out now. I mean, I've had tunes sent over to me that are less than 3 minutes long. I mean, what do you kind of make of that? Is that too short, do you think, or do you think that's where it is now? It's where it should be.
I think a lot of DJ sets, I think the mixing's so fast now. I mean, back, you know, when we first started DJing, you'd have 2 decks.
Yeah.
That's it. Like now, you know, you got 4, 5, 6 decks, whatever. So, I mean, I like to do a bit of both. I will do 2, 3 deck mixing and slam them in quick and all that stuff. But I do like to ride out as well. I do like to let a tune roll.
Make a tune out of 2 tunes, sort of.
Yeah, so, you know, sometimes I will let a tune play, I will let it break down, and then I will let it play the second drop, do you know what I mean? Whereas I think tunes are really made now, and I must admit, because I do make tunes that are 4 odd minutes long, and I am thinking about the DJ when I'm making them, and a lot of DJs like to mix quick nowadays. I mean, sometimes if you're playing back to back and you only got a 45-minute set, I suppose a lot of the younger lads are thinking, well, I've got to try and get as many tunes in as possible. So that's why they're made shorter, so they can get them in quicker and all that sort of thing. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Like, I don't know if that's...
Yeah, that's what I have kind of heard that when I've seen discussions about it before, and people said, well, you know what, it takes me 10 seconds to cue a track up, and then I only play 30 seconds of it, so if it's a 2.5 minute, 3 minute track,
it doesn't matter.
It's long enough.
Yeah.
And I think, well, is it? Because I'm like sort of going back to where you was talking about Ed Rush and Optical. Some of their stuff, the second drop was where it all happened. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like Easy Rollers, some of their stuff, the second drop is where the dirty bass lines really kicked in. Yeah. And so many. I mean, as a producer, do you not think to yourself, do you not feel a little bit insulted? Do you not think, do you know what, I've spent so much time and effort in this track, and you only want to play 30 seconds of it? How does that feel for you as a producer?
I've never really thought of it like that, to be honest.
So I'm probably bringing you right down here, ain't I?
No, it's a good point that you make. But then I think to myself, I suppose it's just the times now. Like I say, I've probably even noticed it myself when I've been DJing at raves and stuff. I suppose the crowd, it's a younger crowd now, so well, the majority of them. I mean, obviously there's still the older generation that do go, but I think that's just what they like. They like to hear tune after tune after tune. You know, I think they seem to like it, like all the quick mixing and, you know, only playing a minute or so of a tune and then bam, the other mixers in and da-da-da. I think that's just the way. It just seems like that's the way how it's going now, I suppose, really. So, but yeah, like I say, I don't mind that because I just roll with the times, innit? So I like that, but then I also like to roll out and let a tune play as well. So
maybe that's.
I can see it from both. I can see it from the older generation. I can see it from the younger generation. Probably because I'm slap bang in the middle and gone through it all myself, sort of thing. So
maybe that's where I'm going wrong then. Maybe I need to be playing 30 seconds and no more. That's it. I'll
try and play a bit more than 30 seconds, but I don't know. I suppose it just depends on the DJ style and what they're doing and how they want to. If they're doing like 4-deck blends and all that, then yeah, you probably are only going to play 30 seconds. But if you're only using 2, maybe you can let it roll out longer.
If it's a 4-deck blend and you're playing 30 seconds, is it a blend? Do you know what I mean? Or like, is it? But to me, and you know, rightly or wrongly, I don't know. But to me, a blend is like what Kenny Ken used to do. You know what I mean? And mix and blend. You know what I mean? So it was you're blending one tune with the next tune. When there's 4 or 6 tunes there, is that blending or is that because that's you
more
just
cutting and?
That's what I mean. You just a little bit of that one, a little bit of that one, a little bit of that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Is it a blend? I don't know.
More sort of like chopping it about and that, isn't it?
It to me, it's like, that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? It's you're just chopping in a bit of one and a bit of another and a bit of another and a bit of another. And there's kind of, I know that there is tunes out there that's like that. I think J-Line bought a tune out. I think I don't know if he released it or not. I know he's given it to me, but it's called One for the Heads, and it's kind of got loads of the intros of a lot of the great banging tunes that you would know, you know what I mean?
Oh, right.
Are you familiar with it? Or?
I don't think so, no.
You know, if I get a chance, I'll try and play it for you later before you shoot off. But it's a great tune, you know what I mean? And you could quite easily stick that on and do what I've seen so many DJs do these days, which is look busy, i.e., a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And people wouldn't know any different. They'll just think, oh, do you know what? Wow, he's mixing about 6 different tunes there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas actually, it's all on one mix. You know.
Right. Yeah. I see.
Like I said, it's. To be fair, I like the tune. I weren't too sure about it the first time I heard it. I was a bit like, well, what is this? But
I think coming to what you're saying about the 4-deck, 5-deck blends or whatever, there's some DJs out there who are very good at it. So if it's done well, then I think it does sound really good, but for me personally, I like to roll out a bit more. I think that's where I'm there and that. But I like a bit of everything, so I'm happy. I'm quite happy to see a set like that, or you know, hear a set like that. But then I went to one of Heist's nights in Colchester a couple of years back, and he had Randall was there. Oh God.
Mate,
what a don, mate! Yeah. What a don! Like that set. I was just blown away by it. It was the tune selection. Yeah. It was just the rollout of the mixes. It was just like, that was just top quality, man. Like really, that's one of the sets I've really enjoyed, like to see live. It was only at a small. It was quite a while ago now. It must have been, to be honest, it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. But it just stuck in my head because it was just so smooth, you know what I mean?
Memorable one, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like the tunes he was playing, big up Randall, man.
You know that, man. Too hot to handle Randall.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Some of them older they're the kind of DJs that, you know, I think we look up to now, like, you know, like you say, Randall, Kenny Ken, Mickey Finn, Roddy's size. I could go on, and I think the younger generation at the minute are not really. They don't really know about them DJs, and they are kind of looking up to people like yourself. I don't know. Do you know, it's thrown me. I can't think of anybody else now. But they're Turno, you know what I mean, Logan D, and do you know what I mean? And them kind of people that they're the people that are looking up to, and they're their idols, and they're like, I want to be like them.
It's a different generation, isn't it?
It is, man, and it makes me feel old.
I ain't
gonna lie.
I'll tell you what though. How you saying about Turno? I recently listened back to AMC's.
He's awesome, man.
Oh,
he is.
See, he's a chap who can rinse out, like, he can really smash a four deck set, couldn't he?
And the rest,
Oh, and it's top quality. So I love that side of it as well. Do you know what I mean? But he recently done the 3-deck vinyl, Digging Deep, was it?
Okay.
It's on his SoundCloud and that. You need to check that out.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's all the old tunes, but he does it in his style with his mixing and everything. Top quality. So big up to him, man, because I listened to that and I was gobsmacked. I was just like, you know every tune from back in the day, but he's on the turntables, but he's sort of doing it in his style that he would if he was on the CDJs.
Yeah.
But hearing it with all the older tunes and that, and knowing he was on vinyl, it's like, this geezer's something else, man.
He did a
awesome.
I think it could have been for D&B TV or something like that, and he did a set a few months ago. It might have been a little bit longer than that because time's just all over the place at the minute, but I can't remember what. He was on CDJs behind the decks doing, I don't know whether it was a 4-deck mix or whatever it was, you know what I mean? And he rolled out a 2-hour set, man, and you know what I mean, there's not too many people that I can sit there and actually watch, you know, like on a Facebook thing or whatever for 2 hours, you know what I mean? But I watched the majority of it anyway until I had to go and do some chores around the house. But,
as you do.
Yeah, exactly. But
before you get shouted at.
Exactly. On that bloody phone again.
Yeah.
Sorry, love. I will apologise now. But yeah, man, he's awesome, man. He's somebody that's. I don't know. I might have missed him from a long time ago. I don't know how long he's been doing it, but he seems to have broke through over the past, I don't know, 5 years or something.
Yeah.
And just
we used to run an event called Big Bass Theory. Yeah, and we actually booked him. This is before he was up and coming. He was known, but he hadn't blown like how he's blown now. And even back then, that was probably 2010. We booked AMC. Absolutely smashed it. Yeah, quality DJ.
Was he expensive then?
Do you know what, I can't actually remember.
I'm not expecting a price. I really ain't.
Again, like I say, with the events and that, obviously I'm heavy involved with the promotion. You know, it's my event, but I'm more than happy to let the other guys book the headliners.
Yeah.
My mate, I can't remember how much he was, to be honest. Probably a lot cheaper than what he is now.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, but yeah, that I think we had AMC, MC. Oh, I think we had Harry Shotter down that night. AMC, MC Phantom, Harry Shotter, and I think Savage Rehab.
Yeah.
Who is now Saxon. Have you heard of Saxon?
Yeah, I've heard of Saxon, but I've not heard of Savage Rehab.
Well, they had releases on like V Recordings and all that. And there's a duo, Saxon and Symptom, Russ. Big up to Russ, big up to Saxon. Yeah, they're both quite local as well, like from Suffolk, Norfolk.
Oh, right, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know, there's some Saxon church. I really like the sounds that's coming from them, man. That's an awesome. He's an awesome producer, mate. I'm loving it, mate. I really am. Some of his tunes. So that's. Do you know? I kind of think we've covered the majority. Is there anything else that you can think of that you're thinking? Hang on a minute. We was going to talk about this and we didn't because.
Just what are obviously just mention our own event, Banger After Banger. Me and my mate John, JD.
Yep. Obviously, just sorry to interrupt you. JD, a lot of people know he's been up here. You know yourself. He's been up here lots of times. He used to do the introductions at the beginning of people's shows.
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, he's obviously, you and him grew up together. Is that right?
At school. Well, he was 2 years above me, but we used to hang around.
Yeah.
You know, me and all my mates were all, you know, there was a crew of us all around the same ages and that. Do you know what I mean? So getting up to what we shouldn't have been.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. Yeah, and yeah, been pals for a long, long time since school. So yeah, we started banger after banger with another mate of ours, Kai, MC Kindness. Big up to him. That was 2012. We started that, and we've been doing it ever since, sort of on and off. Do you know what I mean? So obviously COVID and all that.
Yeah.
And we've had little breaks here and there, but we've had some big artists down over the years. Like I say, Ragga Twins.
Yeah. Damon Flinty. Yeah.
Yeah. Harry Shotter. IC3. God, who else have we had down? Loads of people. Dreps. I'm trying to think of some of the DJs that we've had down. There's quite a few MCs there. I can't think off the top of my head, but yeah, we've had fun stuff. You know, we've had,
big names,
yeah. And my mate Kai had to take a bit of a step back, so then it just became me and John, and we had my mate Reckless, Project Lando. He came on board for the last couple of years, and yeah, it's just me and John now at the moment. So obviously with COVID and everything, we're hoping to get stuff back rolling maybe towards the end of this year, beginning of next year.
That just brings me on to my next questions. When's the next banger after banger event?
Yeah, well, actually, say that we did just host a room 2 at Raucous in Ipswich.
Yeah.
So that was a couple of weeks ago. That went down really well. That was a good night. So big up to them. And yeah, the next one we might hopefully try to take it back to Felixstowe. We'll do another one in Ipswich. We're just trying to get some dates together and just sort of a little plan of what we're going to do really. So we're in talks about it at the moment. Just what direction we want to take it in, what do we want to do.
Are you going to be keeping it in Felixstowe, Ipswich, Suffolk area?
Yeah,
or
well,
are you
definitely in Suffolk.
Yeah.
So, like to take it home back to Felixstowe first. You know what I mean? Or in Ipswich. We've got quite a big Ipswich following, really.
Yeah.
So we've got a good following in Felixstowe as well. But if we can get the Ipswich crew to come to Felixstowe, that's good for us. But if we do it in Ipswich, then they're already here, aren't they? So
you've got no plans of moving it further west? Essex or into London.
Obviously, we'd do like a collab event if people wanted to get on board with that. But I mean, I think it's hard to promote a night if it's not in your town or your area. Do you know what I mean? Because how are you going to get there? You're going to have to get there and fly. Are you going to?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You need to know all the local DJs there who are going to help, who want to DJ and obviously help promote it and all that sort of thing.
I suppose the venue as well.
The venue, yeah. So yeah, I'd like to obviously keep it in Felixstowe or Ipswich. So, but yeah, it's gone. I mean, you know, we've been doing it since nearly 10 years now. So I think this will be the night. Well, it would have been. Well, yeah, next year March will be 10 years we've been doing it.
So next, it's the 2022 March.
Yeah, it would be the 10th birthday.
So I'm expecting a big party then. Yeah, Alan invite.
Yeah. Well, that'd be good. That would be the plan. Maybe do a birthday bash for the next one. So it's all just talk at the moment. We're just trying to get things back off the ground really. So I mean, obviously, only clubs and all that have only been open a couple of weeks, haven't they? So.
And let's hope it stays
open. Like that. Yeah.
I mean, what's controversial? What's your opinion? Do you think there'll be another lockdown or?
Hopefully not. It's difficult, isn't it? Because obviously, I know.
Well, I think we're all hoping it's not.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
What's your gut feeling?
Hopefully they'll stay open because I mean I know the cases have been rising a little bit in that, but I don't think they've gone. Do you know what? I've tried not to really keep an eye on it all now because I just want life to go back to normal.
Yeah.
So I've just sort of like tried not to concentrate on it too much. I've been at work I had the first 5 weeks off work way back in the first lockdown, but I've been working all the way through since. So life hasn't really been that much different for me. Luckily, I haven't had it, or none of my missus or my kids haven't had it. My mum and her partner did get it actually, and they were quite ill, but thankfully they recovered.
Yeah.
A friend of mine at work got it. Thankfully he recovered and was all right. So, yeah, just don't want. I don't want to catch it, obviously, but
So what? So when obviously when we went into lockdown, I was going to ask you how how you were feeling your days, but obviously you were still working.
yeah. So yeah, for the majority of all of the first 5 weeks, like I say, I had off. That was right at the beginning when it all first. But that weren't too bad because my wife was pregnant at the time with the twins, so I was obviously there to help her out with our son. So yeah, that worked out quite well, really. Give her a bit of a rest because obviously she was heavily pregnant or whatever. So yeah, but yeah, since then I've just been working the whole time. So I hadn't really been, obviously, with COVID restrictions in place or everyone's being careful and all that. So yeah, hopefully nothing will change now. And we'll get it'll get better and clubs and all that will stay open. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
So I'm going to kind of wrap things up now, unless there's anything I've missed, which there always is, because whenever I finish this, I always think, oh, do you know, I was going to ask that and I forgot to ask it or whatever. But it's the real controversial question now. It's really deep. They know what I'm going to ask. You don't know what I'm going to ask. You look very worried what I'm going to ask as well. Pineapple on pizza or not?
Ah, definitely not.
Right, get out.
Definitely
Tom,
not.
thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Honestly, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Would you mind stepping up there and showing us how it's done?
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Tom. It's been a
Brilliant.
pleasure, mate. It really has.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
And it really has as well, man. It's lovely to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too, mate. Oh.